You can see here where I was kind of mixing. I'm just going to show you my go-to mix, which would be generally for greens. And this was my mix for the leaves of the rhododendron. So it was kind of a cool yellow with a warm blue and a little bit of cool red, just to make it a little bit more earthy. And you can see me layering it up there and matching it right beside the leaf itself. Okay. So as I said, I work in layers. Okay. And I'll just briefly talk you through some of those layers, and then we can have a chat, or if you have any questions, you can ask. So you might be wondering why I have an image of a ballet dancer there. So the reason why I have an image of a ballet dancer is because when I am painting, I suppose I'm very aware of the physicality of the experience of painting. And so, in that first layer, when I'm working with wet paint on wet paper, I want to use the tip of the brush, if I can just take a brush like this, and I'm just kind of holding it very lightly. I'm dipping into the paint and I'm lightly, loosely holding the brush. And it's almost as if the wet paint is kind of dropping onto the paper. Okay. So I use the brush as if I'm a ballet dancer on tippy toes. Don't laugh. I know it might kind of it might challenge the imagination a little bit from time to time, but it actually works. So I'm just going to show you this particular video, because I would say that while I was doing the rhododendron painting, I actually went back over and over again from one wet wash on wet paper to another wet wash on wet paper. And it was only towards the very end of the process that the paint had less water and a little bit more pigment. So you'll just see me here wetting out an area, and I've speeded this up a little bit. I'm wetting out an area with clean water. Okay. And then I pick up some of the paint, right, from the wet paint, and I start to drop it in. So I'm just, very lightly, very loosely dropping in the paint onto the paper. So all the time aiming to stay away from the edges initially, because I don't want to have any tide marks, and just keeping it nice and light and loose. And then you can see I've already come in with a couple of other colors like the pink and the blue. And then I'm just softly dropping those in again. And now I pull the brush between my fingers just to kind of get rid of the excess water, and I get a clean brush and I just gently smooth it in, so that I'm actually kind of smoothing out some of those areas of color. Okay. Now for the second layer, I'm using less water and more pigment in the paint mix. And I'm holding the brush with a little bit more control. So you can see there's a tango dancer there. So I'm now getting into the tango dancing stage. And, basically the reason why I'm saying tango dancing is because I want to actually, you know, I want to have a sweep of the brush over the surface of the paper. So I've got a little bit more contact with the paper, and I'm building nuances of color in my painting. So on that particular plum, you'll see that I have already my first wash with a number of different colors down on the paper. And now I'm wetting the area, and I'm just going to come in with paint that has a little bit more pigment, and I'm basically layering it up. Okay. And one of the things I suppose I was trying to be most conscious of was I wanted to maintain the reflected light at the rounded end of that particular plum.